Hey folks, it's Billy DKY, the truth seeker that simplifies and demystifies. This is going to be my video on the new YouTube format. Some of you hate it with a passion, some of you just don't like it, and some of you just, it's slightly annoying, I can live with it. At first I was highly annoyed with it because it reminded me, I actually thought that YouTube was exempt from violating those 9 principles I laid out, because I thought YouTube or Google was, a really more of an innovative company that really sort of understood these things, but obviously they don't, and you and I have to suffer the consequences of their ignorance. So let's just roll with it. I'm not going to have it planned out what I'm going to say. But let's start off with what they've done that's making this miserable. Basically, they violated baby steps, which is the second principle of falling the way of growth, which the link to falling the way of growth is down now, I'm assuming. It'll be the first link down. And it's principle, like I say, it's principle 2. And basically, baby steps is it's equivalent to saying the tree principle. So those of you who've watched my videos before, the tree. Let me just discuss how the tree grows. The tree grows by not destroying anything that previously worked, and it only builds upon what it previously had that worked. So notice what YouTube did. There's some things that worked really well in YouTube, and there's probably a few things here and there that needed to change, but YouTube did that. YouTube changed stuff that previously worked well and was nice, and they destroyed that. Then they added new stuff that didn't work as well. And and maybe they added some things that worked better than it previously did, but you're so caught off guard by the stuff that's not working as well as it used to that, like the video responses. Now the video responses are, you got to search through 40 comments, probably to see all the video responses. So, it's sort of ridiculous, really, in a lot of things it did. And I used to experience this a lot at my prior work, and it really just got so frustrating. Every year, what they would do is, we had a computer program that we used every year. So you use it one year, and you just finally, you'd work through a bunch of things and finally get caught up with getting used to it. And the next year, they would change a bunch of stuff, and then you couldn't keep track of it, so you couldn't benefit from last year's experience because they changed it all on you, so they slowed. You always were like you were a new employee at working the computer program because it kept changing things. Now, obviously, it wasn't that bad, but they didn't build upon your ability to learn. You know what I mean? And the ability of people to get in a habit forming, way of doing things. If you get in a habit, you just start doing it quickly. So, and they kept breaking the habit by changing things around so much that they didn't take advantage of the habit. Okay, so what YouTube should have done is looked at and said, okay, what's working now? They should have done one little change, and then they should have seen then they should have had a place where people could say if they liked it or disliked it. And again, you make a change, which is principle 2. You do a baby step change, and then you use principle 5. You question that change. And a lot of times what happens is you get a new guy. What happens is you get a new guy in at YouTube or somebody that's wanting to make a name for himself, and that's principle 7. Know your enemies, ego and pleasure. Somebody with a big ego wants to be important, and maybe they're disgusted by some little tweak over here in YouTube that they didn't like, and they had some big grandiose ideas. They want to change everything at once. Again, principle 7 by its ego, and also that. Man, I can't tell you how irritating it is. It really, at first I was really irritated. Now I just sort of accept it because I know you can't teach people, and I know that, or you can't teach them in the short term. I know that really my philosophies have to get out there, and maybe, a couple centuries people won't be putting up with this nonsense anymore. Everybody will know that baby steps is the right way to go. They'll know the ego's a problem, and this guy that's probably changing it, or the group of people that are changing these, changing YouTube right now, they're probably getting a bonus too from doing this change. And here's the way they'll do it too. They'll have a focus group, and they'll design the focus group such that that it'll show that it's better than it was, instead of listening to the people who use YouTube on a daily basis. And here's another thing I think they'll probably do. They'll probably pick people who've never used YouTube, so that way they don't have to deal with the people who knew how good some of the features worked prior, and they'll put somebody new in there. That, the people that are just yes men and say, yeah, oh my God, yes, it's so easy. I can see how easily that was done. And they'll go, oh, it's better. And then they'll show them the old system, and they'll design it in such a way that you get a complaint. Oh, the old system was hard and difficult, and it's, like I say, I've seen it work out in the company. I actually was part of a group that was going to redesign a program. I told them, I said, look, y'all are violating. You're making big changes. Like, we gotta make big changes. And I was like, oh my God, here we go. And I finally just left the company. I was like, you know what? I can't be around stupidity endlessly. I started to realize, you know what? And I started going to the gym. Well, I was already going to the gym, but I was in the gym and I was listening. I was thinking, you know what? Maybe I need to switch to another company. Maybe that's my problem. My company's the problem. I was listening to other people at the gym, and I was like, oh my God, this is rampant everywhere. And like I said, I thought Google was exempt from all these issues because they had smarter, more innovative people who, who question things and stuff. But I don't know. This is, if you're a teenager, somebody that's not in the corporate world, you will experience this over and over and over again. You got people above you who have more authority, and they will continually push BS down on you that doesn't make sense, and there will always be that disconnect. And it's the same way with people in their spiritual paths, or just people in general. And I look at your brain a lot like the corporate world in a lot of ways. The brain up here, it's like upper management, and down below where all the details and all the real work is done in your unconscious, that's sort of like the blue-collar worker, or the lower-class worker, whoever that's actually doing the work. And so what you see is in the corporations, there's a huge disconnect between what's going on at the very top and then what's going on in the lower echelons of the company. And that's the same way you see with people, too. You see a disconnect from what's going up in their conscious mind to what's going on in their unconscious, and so that there's just a bunch of stupidity going on endlessly. And I remember reading this, what the Buddha said. He said that, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but basically there's the harmony, there becomes, as you reach further and further stages of enlightenment, let's say, or progress, the mind becomes more harmonious. The conscious mind is working more harmonious with the unconscious. There's respect given for both aspects of the mind. They work fluidly together instead of fighting each other. And it's really, and again, that's principle 8, seek harmony and peace. And like I say, this is classic. It's classic stupidity at work. And I figured this is a good opportunity, instead, because a lot of times if I just throw my philosophies out there, you're like, okay, that's real good and dandy, Billy. How's that going to affect my life? Well, you're getting affected by it right now, by the YouTube format, by people, not by them knowing the philosophy, by not knowing how the reality really works. You're being affected by it. So you're being irritated, annoyed, where if they already understood the philosophies I was putting out there, which again, I don't really consider it philosophy, it's just the way things really are, then, this change that YouTube is going through would actually be amazing. You'd be like praising YouTube for making stuff so much better instead of screwing it up. So anyway, and again, this is what I noticed in my prior company too. If YouTube had just been making small little bitty changes all the time, improving it, you wouldn't need no big changes. So what happens is they don't make a lot of changes for, don't screw it, that it's working fine. They don't make any little changes, then all of a sudden somebody comes along, oh my God, we need to change everything, and it just blows up. So it's just, I feel your frustration. I know your frustration, but really, if you really want to end it, you ain't going to end it very easily. The only way you end it is by getting smarter and spreading the truth. That's the only way. That's why I'm doing this video, to spread and show you what's really going on. And hopefully I've conveyed that through my little rambling and rant on what's really going on. But, it's just the way it is. Until the next video,